Bienvenido, mis amigos, a PX. Whoa. Sorry about that, guys. I had the SAP button pushed on. What's going on, guys? PX Cam 20 back again with a brand new video. We are here at Barcelona for a brand new week of daily races as we are starting third place in the 911. As you can see, the pole position decided to go with the Mercedes AMG and everybody else decided to go with 911s. We have a Mustang in 7th, an NSX in 8th, and a Lancer Evo in 10th. So starting in third place, we lost a lot of driver rating points on Monday, so we are just trying to grind as much as we can back so we can at least push ourselves back as close as we can to an A plus, or if not, getting back to an A plus before the FIA races this week. But currently I've been kind of struggling with this racetrack, unfortunately, just because it's so easy to lose it on this racetrack. Because if you clip the rumble strips incorrectly, you can easily spin out. If you tap the grass, you can easily spin out, or just get hit by other cars and then have them take you out. So it's been a really grueling and demanding week, although it's only halfway through the week, and you can see how far we are to reach the A plus driver rating. So before we jump into the race, if you guys really enjoy the content, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video. It really helps the channel when you guys do so. Anyways, that's enough promoting myself. Let's jump straight into this race. Now, to jump into the race, again, we have the AMG Monster livery starting on pole position as we are starting in third place with a 146.2, but you can see pole position actually is almost about a second ahead of us, but that doesn't matter on the race as the AMG is not really that good on tire wear when it comes to this race, as we are starting on the hards, and that was the only compound given to us as we are now jumping into the race. So coming down the straightaway here, you see the top two cars are swerving left and right to try to get some heat in their tires, and it actually cost us second place a little bit of time. As you can see, we're already on the outside of him, trying to make an overtake going onto the inside now of turn number 2, and we have to let the American ahead of us now as we get a little bit of a tap from behind, and we just let him get ahead of us now as we're going to follow him heading down into turn number 3. So coming out of turn number 3, heading into turn number 4, staying right behind the American. We're just going to follow him here as we don't want to try to push the issue here, as it is a 10-lap race, so we have plenty of time to try to catch up and try to find good places to try to make an overtake. So we're just going to follow him here as we head now into turn number 5. Coming to turn number 5, still nose to tail, as fourth place is starting to pull away from us now, so we're starting to build like a little gap here, the top 3 away from the rest of the pack, as we are able to get through this cleanly. As you can see, they go a little bit wide coming out of the left-hander, so we're able to catch right back up to the Porsche right ahead of us and just follow him here as we head into this fast right-hander, leading us into the short straightaway. So on the straightaway here, leading us into the hairpin, we're staying right behind the American as we're in the slipstream. We try to go onto the inside, take a little peek, but we actually just back out of the move there. As you can see, he actually makes a very defensive move heading into the corner. So moved under braking. Luckily we weren't there. If we were there, he probably would have hit us, but we decided to just stay right behind him now, as fourth place is now catching right back up to us. But again, nose to tail as we come into the final chicane, leading us into lap number 2. So coming out of the chicane here, this part has been really tricky for us, as I have not been able to get a really good run coming out of the chicane. Other people have been able to get it really well, but for some reason I just haven't been able to find the line or the technique to get through the chicane without any incidents. So that's going to be our trouble spot throughout the race, so we just have to get as close as we can to the top 2 and try to stay right behind them as we head into the chicane, and try to stay right behind them when we come out of there so we can stay in the slipstream. As you can see now, they're starting to pull away from us as we come into lap number 3. So jumping into lap number 3, fourth place is staying right behind us as we're losing the slipstream from the top 2, which is going to be very crucial, because we have to stay right behind him, as the front straightaway is just so long that if you could stay right behind them on the slipstream, it can just help you out tremendously. As we're just going to try to see if we can try to stay with them coming out of turn number 3, staying right behind them as we are going into the short straightaway here. We're just following them now as we get a purple sector for our first sector, so that's good on us, so we're able to stay with them. But you can see how much the slipstream has just helped us out, as a lot of the purple sector was just from the speed that we were able to get on the slipstream on the front straightaway, and you can see how much it helped us out as we're staying right behind them now, jumping a little forward into the race. So coming into our weak spot of the racetrack, which is the chicane, you can see right here we're able to stay right behind them. We're trying to follow them, but for some reason they just always are able to get away from us, as we just don't get a really good exit coming out of that chicane. And coming out of the final corner, you can see how much second place is able to pull away from us. It's just I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know if I'm just not attacking the curbs as much as I need to, or if I'm just not getting onto the throttle as hard as I need to coming out of the final chicane. and leading us into the final corner, because for some reason it's just everybody ahead of us just kept getting away from us. But at least down the straightaway and heading into the first sector, we were able to make up a lot of time. You can see how much time we actually gained on second place as we are now jumping into lap number 5. So coming into lap number 5 again on the first sector, nothing has really changed except we were able to kind of pull away from the 4th place driver. As you can see, we're coming out of turn number 3 now, staying right behind the 1st and 2nd place drivers. We are staying in their slipstream, as again we get another purple first sector, as again the slipstream has just been helping us out tremendously on the straightaway, and that's actually what's been able to hold us here and still contend for the win, as we are now coming into turn number 5. So coming out of turn number 5, we're heading into turn number 6 and 7 and 8, as you can see that we get a little bit of loose coming out of turn number 5, but doesn't hurt us too much, as we're still right behind the American ahead of us. But the Canadian is kind of struggling with his tires here, as we've been kind of just watching him the past couple laps, and he's actually been getting a little bit slower, so we were able to catch up to him a little bit more easier now than we have been what we have been on the previous lap. So coming into turn number 10, which is the hairpin, we're just following them here. As you can see, the Canadian ahead of us takes a very narrow line going into the entrance of turn number 10, and you can see how much time the American was able to catch up to him, as he's now on his back bumper, giving him a little bit of a love tap there as we're coming out of turn number 12. The Canadian actually goes into the dirt a little bit, and he kicks up a little bit of dust, as we're just going to follow him here coming to chicane and see if we could try to stay right behind him now, as the American is just pushing all kind of pressure on the Canadian ahead of us. So it's leading up into a really good battle now as we come into the front straightaway. So coming down the front straightaway again, we're trying to not lose the slipstream as we're braking as late as we can, and luckily we're able to kind of pull a bit closer again on the first sector, as this has been our strong point right here, is our very first sector. We've been able to get really close to the cars ahead of us, and again, although we lose a lot of time coming out of the chicane on that straightaway, we're able to hold them off, and we're able to get a little bit closer to them as we're now coming to turn number 4. So again, getting the purple sector, you can see that second and first are now jostling for position, moving left and right every which way to try to get the lead here. As you can see, the American is now on the inside of the Canadian, but he backs out of there, as it's going to be a single file turn coming up here as we come into turn number 7 and 8. So jumping into turn number 7 and 8, we actually outbrake ourselves, go a little bit wide coming out of turn number 7, heading to turn number 8, and you can see how much time we lost coming into turn number 9 now, as the American is still right behind the Canadian's back bumper, as we're coming into the short straightaway. So coming down the short straightaway, leading us into the hairpin, the American's taking a look onto the insides. He's going to try to brake as late as he can, but he backs out of the move there. But the Mercedes actually outbrakes himself, goes a little bit wide, and the American's all over his back bumper again as we're heading into turn number 11 and 12. So coming to turn number 12 again, the American is all over his back bumper as he's trying to just move him out of the way there as we're coming to the chicanes again. Jumping into turn number 13, we're staying right behind the American, the Canadian, as the Canadian brakes early, and the American actually bumps out the Canadian. Canadian is out wide as we make a little bit of contact with the American, and both us and the American are able to get around the Canadian, as I believe he lost traction from behind. As we go into the replay here, let's see exactly what happened here. The American just outbrakes himself and hits the Canadian there, or the Canadian braked too early, one of those. But either way, it was the same result. The Canadian ended up losing first place as we come into this side. You can see it right there. I think the American actually just outbraked himself and hit the Canadian, but instead of getting the position back, he ends up just overtaking the Canadian. You can see now it's a four-way battle for the lead as we come down to the straightaway. So coming down the straightaway, we're moving on to the inside. So we're trying to stay behind first place and stay in the crucial slipstream as he's moving to the left-hand side now. We move to the left-hand side to stay in the slipstream, and we're just going to see if we can pull ourselves closer and closer to first place now as we're heading to turn number 1. So jumping into turn number 2, we're gaining a lot of time on first position. You can see we're getting closer and closer now as we're coming to turn number 3. He goes a little bit wide there coming out of the exit of turn number 3 as we take the preferred line, and you can see that we are just gaining time on him now as he's trying to cover the inside, but we're a little too far back to try to make any type of overtake, so we're just going to follow him now as we come into turn number 4. So jumping into turn number 4, you can see again we're just closing the gap a little bit slowly but surely, as it is going to be a game of patience here as we still have 4 laps left. So we don't want to push the envelope here. We don't want to end up pushing ourselves into a mistake. So it's going to be very, very crucial to just follow our lines, hit our braking points, not focus too much on the gap, but just try to hold our line here and avoid making any type of mistake, as first place can easily make a simple mistake, and that can allow us to get around him for the win. So we're just gonna see what we can do here now as we jump up into the end of lap number 7. So coming to the end of lap number 7, jumping into lap number 8, again the American ahead of us tries to do the same tactic as the lap previous, as he moves all the way to the inside, but we're just gonna follow him here. We're closing the gap here, coming to turn number 1. Brake as late as we can, heading to turn number 1. We are now on his back bumper as we get a really good run. He gets very, very wide coming out turn number 2 as we try to take a peek onto the inside, but he's able to get a great exit coming out turn number 2 as we are now trying to keep it onto the inside on turn number 3. But the American is able to hold us off now, as we're just kind of taking a little peek onto the inside, but we're just going to stay right behind him now as we come into turn number 4. So too far back to try to make any type of move, but again, we're just capitalizing on those little mistakes that he makes, so we just have to be there and try to get around him when he makes those mistakes. As you can see, we can make a little bit of a mistake coming into this corner, and that's going to cost us dearly, but luckily that we were able to get a good enough run on the exit and not lose too much time on him now as we're heading to turn number 10. So now on lap number 9, as we head into turn number 10, we're coming out of here as we are heading to turn number 11. You can see the American gets very, very loose coming out of that corner, and look at how much time we gain on him now as we're almost on his back bumper, and this is going to be a really, really daring move if we could try to make a move onto the inside of the chicane, as he's defending the inside here as we come into turn number 13. Takes a very wide exit here, as he did take a narrow line going into turn number 13, and we're just going to follow right behind him now as we come into chicane here, leading us into the final corner. That's going to take us into the final lap. Coming out of the final corner, we're just going to follow him again as we come into the straightaway. We're just going to see if we can try to close the gap again as he's shifting to the right, shifting back to the left, shifting back to the right. We're just trying to follow him every which way to stay in the slipstream. As you can see how much time we're gaining on him now as we're making a move onto the outside. We're going to brake as late as we can. He tries to defend at the inside, but we are able to just close the gap now as we are now all over his back bumper now coming out turn number 2. Jumping into turn number 3, we're trying to take a wide entrance so we could get a good exit here and try to get at least a attempt to make an overtake going into turn number 4 as we're moving on to the inside here. He's giving us the space. He's starting to cover us now as we go onto the outside. Brake as late as we can, make a little bit of contact with first place as he's able to get ahead of us again. And now we're just trying to find every which way to get around him now as we are shifting onto the outside of turn number 5. And that's going to lead us into turn number 6. So coming out turn number 5, the first place car gets very, very loose, as I believe his tires are now gone, as we're just all over his back bumper here as we head into turn number 7. Making a move onto the outside here. We make a little bit of contact with him, and that actually hurts us more than it hurts him there, as we're now coming out of turn number 8, leading us into turn number 9. Trying to get a good exit out of turn number 9 here, as it's going to be our final time here, as he gets very, very wide, but it doesn't hurt him too much as we're now in the slipstream. Are we going to be able to get close enough to him as we head into the hairpin for the final time? Brake as late as we can. He tries to make a defensive line going into the hairpin, but that's actually going to cost him coming out of there. As you can see how much time we gain on him. Get a little bit loose coming out of the hairpin as we're just working our way around and trying to get as close as we can to him now as we come into the final time into the chicane. Are we going to be able to make anything happen here, as this is where he did bump out the Canadian coming to lap number 7. So coming into the chicane for one last final time, we're not close enough to make any type of move as we try to get a good exit here, and it's probably our best exit that we were able to get for the race, but unfortunately we're going to run out of time coming out of the final corner, and we're going to finish this race in second place as the leader spins out at the line. Very, 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 very entertaining race. We had to stay on our toes the entire race as we were just falling first and second place the entire race, and at least we were able to promote ourselves one position up and finish in second place and get away from everybody else. But it was a great race coming to the line there, as we just stayed all over the back bumper of the leader. Unfortunately, we just were unable to capitalize on his little mistakes that he was making on the final couple of laps there, so we just have to place blame on ourselves, as we should have easily overtaken him, especially when he made that mistake coming out of turn number 10 and on some other corners where he made mistakes. So very entertaining race. I hope you guys really enjoyed that one. If you guys did, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the videos. It really helps that channel when you guys do so. And if you guys want to support the channel, I have linked my Patreon in the description down below. And if you guys really found this video entertaining, I hope to see you guys on the next one. Peace out.